More and more residency programs are unionizing. There could be a secret meeting happening at your work right now. And I want to ask you all a simple question. What do you think are the downsides to residents unionizing? Assuming you aren't a hospital administrator who is trying to save dollars, I'm legitimately curious. Even residents who are pro-union advocate for open dialogue and hearing all sides. So let's chat about it. Thousands of residents across the country are in house staff unions or are voting to form one right now. According to the AAMC, today roughly 15% of U.S. house staff in more than 60 hospitals are represented by the Committee of Interns and Residents, or the CIR, which is part of the Service Employers International Union. That's about 30,000 residents. And the CIR's website has an extensive list of benefits they've been able to get for fellows and residents. Here's a quick overview of how the unionization process goes. If residents have a list of requests or grievances, they have the right to unionize. The hospital can then say, okay, cool, and recognize the requests, or they can put it up to a formal vote, which is what's more likely to happen. That vote is overseen by the National Labor Relations Board, and from there, if there is a majority, a union forms and bargaining starts. The benefits of unionizing are pretty obvious. If you listen to any residents who are amidst a unionization process or you read articles about it, issues such as low pay, burnout from working long hours, no childcare options, a lack of leave time, parking fees, and more are among the many cited reasons that residents want to take this on. Did I mention childcare? Some residents who are working 70, 80 hours a week obviously need some form of childcare and report spending upwards of 40 to 50% of their monthly salaries on it. Now, I'm not going to go on and on, but there are plenty of resident testimonials on this topic and you can read up. At some programs, residents actually got better benefits after unionizing. University of Michigan, for example, has holiday pay for residents, which I've always been jealous of, especially when other staff members like nurses get this. I'm like, where's mine? Stanford medical residents got a 21% salary increase, which really helps when the average med school debt is about $200,000. And residents and fellows at the University of Washington, after unionizing, received more vacation time, concessions for transportation, childcare, and a list of other fringe benefits. And there are plenty of other examples. On the flip side, let's run through some specific concerns or reported downsides to unionizing. Hospital administrators and some department heads have been vocal about the potential for unions to affect both the attending-resident relationship, but also the ability for residents to directly discuss concerns and educational plans. Critics feel that having a third party at the table, such as a union representative who isn't as knowledgeable about the nuances of medical education, could complicate the decision-making process. Sometimes there are institution-specific issues as well. One example was Loma Linda. They argued that unionization would go against their religious principles. They filed a lawsuit, that didn't go through, and the residents won a few months later. And I know there's always that one senior older doctor who was like, back in our day, we just worked and we never complained and blah, blah, blah. But look at the current situation that residents are facing now with housing and rent prices and increasing costs of childcare, sprinkle in some inflation and poor hospital staffing, increasing workload, and add in the fact that the average first-year resident salary in 2023 was around $64,000. Now, if you look back to 2012, the average salary was around $55,000, and if you adjust that for inflation, it would be around $75,000 today, which is more than the average resident is getting paid. And then there are hospital administrators who say that the hospital does not have the money to meet these demands. Well, hospital GME offices receive about $150,000 of Medicare funds per resident. And obviously, there are additional costs when it comes to training and supporting residents. So in general, unionizing freaks out the people handling all the cash. There's also the threat of a strike, which no hospital wants on their public record. A recent highly publicized example happened at New York's Elmhurst Hospital when 160 residents went on strike for 3 days until a deal was made. Critics of unionizing also cite a particular JAMA study, which included a survey of 5,700 general surgery residents at 285 programs. It found that while unions helped with vacation time and housing stipends, The unions were not associated with improved burnout rates, suicidality, job satisfaction, duty hour violations, mistreatment, educational environment, or salary. Now granted, this isn't the strongest study. It only sampled one group of residents, and I wouldn't generalize these findings, but it's still commonly cited by anti-union advocates. Another potential downside, which is purely anecdotal because I can't find any data to support this, is potential retaliation against residents or harm to the attending resident relationship. Now, I'm an attending, I don't really understand this one. I don't exactly own stock in my hospital, nor am I making millions of dollars by siphoning GME money. I'm just trying to focus on educating and supporting my residents the best I can. But for real, I want to hear from you, especially those of you who may work in GME and residency programs or in hospital leadership. What do you feel are the true downsides to residents unionizing? Comment below and feel free to keep it anonymous and use a pseudonym because I know how it goes.